Welcome back to the 2025 World Championships for screw compressor spares. We thought we'd take you for a little tour of the facility here at Hills Offroad RC, nestled in this spectacular Australian bushland. So come with me, we'll take you for a little bit of a tour. We'll see what's going on here. It's rest day, it's the day between two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. There's a lot of people around, there's lots of things going on. We thought you might like to see the whole facility here at Hills Offroad RC. As I said, we're nestled in Australian bushland. It's sporting facilities. There's baseball fields, BMX tracks, all sorts of things in the park, walking trails, lovely creeks. We pop out of the bush and here we are into the Coliseum, the Castle Hill, the Hills Offroad RC racetrack. As I said, we're on transition day between two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. You can see the team out there completing the conversion of this racetrack. IFMAR rules requiring a substantial change in the track between the two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive classes, and the Hills team opting to change the direction of racing. Over the two-wheel drive course of the event, we raced in the clockwise direction. For four-wheel drive, we'll run anti-clockwise. And the team's spending all day today rebuilding the jump faces so that those jumps will work in those opposite directions. We're going to see all of that, of course, on track, starting from Saturday with open practice. And then we'll continue on through qualifying and into the finals on Sunday. As we walk down past, we continue past the track. These are all the gum trees that surround the track. This is where the shade comes from that you've seen falling across the track in the mornings. The home to the birds that you've heard screeching in the background on the FX mics. The trees that have been rustling during the heavy wind that blew during finals on Tuesday afternoon. And we emerge now from the bushland into the main controlled area of this race event. On a normal club event, this whole area that we're about to explore is a car park. And here for the 2025 World Championships, it's been converted into an event centre. This is the grandstand. This is where we're watching from. These grandstands absolutely packed during finals. The crowd, the atmosphere was electric. There's a perfect view out across the racetrack. There's two grandstands here. This is the public grandstand, filled with spectators, passers-by, dropping in to check out the action, and then there's a separate grandstand in the controlled access area that is where the drivers, mechanics, sponsors, teams, VIPs and so on have access to. We'll show you that in a moment. We're really in a public park, and we're right, that path that we've just walked on is a public thoroughfare. And one of the wonderful things about this event is the number of people that have just stopped by. In the background behind me, you can see Campbelltown Hobbies. We'll go and check out Campbelltown Hobbies. They're one of the event sponsors, and they've sold a whole heap of ready-to-run car kits this weekend to spectators that have just happened on by, out walking with the kids on their way to play sport in the afternoon, stopped by and checked out the action here at the World Championships and come straight over to Campbelltown Hobbies to pick up a race car of their own to go racing with us. Fantastic to have the support of Campbelltown Hobbies across this World Championship event. The guys have been supporting both the event itself and our broadcast, and as I said, been seeing a whole heap of interest from members of the public that have stopped on by. The next thing we come to, perhaps the most important thing at any World Championship event, this is where the food comes from, track snacks. You can see even on practice day there's a lineup, a queue there of people waiting to get some lunch. The team there in track snacks giving us a wave. The food's been fantastic. Hot chips are favourite, burgers, all sorts of things. We're saying g'day to Tsushihara. He's here for the event. So that's track snacks. That's in the public access area, so members of the public can access that the food as well. And we're going to look inside. We'll go inside this pit area in a moment, but this is where the action happens. This huge long marquee, it's something like 50 or 60 metres long, houses the pit area for 150 competitors here at the World Championship event. Competitors that have come from 19 countries all around the world. Each one of them has a 6-foot, 1.8 metre table to work on. The pits are fitted out with television showing scoring and live action from what's going on out on the racetrack. There's power to all the pit tables, all of that kind of stuff. You can see the flags fluttering here outside the pit area, covering those 19 countries. It is that transition day between two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. We spoke about that a moment ago, the track being worked on. So the pits are a little bit quiet. There are a number of people here preparing four-wheel drive cars, doing their last dialing in. We spoke to one racer who went practicing with his four-wheel drive car just 3 days before the event started. He's here today completely rebuilding that four-wheel drive chassis to get ready for tomorrow's practice. Others have come with their cars pre-built, but they've learned a lot over the last 3 days of two-wheel drive action. So they're here putting setups on the car, new shock packages and so on. We'll take a little quick wander around. We probably won't spend too much time, but on our left, the bathrooms for the facility for the event. And here's the local sporting facilities. We've seen some of the races out here kicking footballs, playing volleyball, throwing balls. We're trying to teach some people how to play Australian rules football. We'll try and get out here with a football later on, perhaps even a game of cricket. There are people lining up to bowl cricket balls at Scotty Ernst. We'll see if we can get that happening a little later. So this is where we are, right in the middle of the Hills Shire, but at the local sporting and recreational precinct. We're going to go inside the controlled access area now, so you've got to have one of these special passes to get in, either as media, driver, mechanic, sponsor or VIP. We'll take you for a little tour of what's on inside this controlled area. We'll go inside the pits in a moment, but just before we go in there, all of the normal things that are necessary. Meeting rooms, rooms for our media teams to work in, all the news that's coming out of Red RC, Circus RC, that's being done in there. Place for post-race interviews, and then a room for our volunteers. Incredible volunteer team here at Hills Offroad RC, and there's a little air-conditioned spot for them to take a break, grab a drink, something to eat. Let's have a quick look inside the pit area. People busy at work, so we won't interrupt for conversations today. We'll come back and do that a little later on. But you can get a sense of the size and the scale, the atmosphere here inside the pits. As I said, about a 60-metre long venue, row upon row upon row of tables, 1.5, 1.8 metre long table per driver. Tables have televisions at each end showing scoring and live coverage of the event, so that it's easy for a driver to look up, check the screen, see what's happening, check their competitors' lap times, check their teammates' lap times, follow along with when they're due out on the racetrack. There's been a buzz here in the pits all across this whole week. No different today. Yeah, audio from the whole racetrack, the commentary coming through, so you can see the speakers up on the roof. So that interesting kind of rules and regulations around IFMAR events that drivers are not allowed to hear any commentary. So all of the commentary that you're hearing on our stream, it's being broadcast here into the pits and into those grandstand areas that we were a few moments ago. We'll have a quick look down what we've been calling Manufacturer Alley. You have seen some of this on our pit walk earlier in the weekend, but this whole row of all of our sponsor tables, Mob Boss Graphics are here. Team Coyote, our major sponsor for the event, are here. Sanwa, Hobby Wing, El Saram, and RC Discharger, they're all here along this Manufacturer Alley. They're providing support, tech support to both sponsor drivers and to customers, helping people kind of find what they need to find in terms of performance. And a couple more sheds down the end, and one of those belonging to J Concepts. And then one's a little private pitting area. The event organisers did make the option available to racers to rent a pitting area, and just a few races have opted for that. We've showed you these a few times, of course, over the course of the weekend. Some vintage cars here in preparation for the Vintage Bash. We'll knock on one of these private pit doors and see if anyone's inside. I know some of the boys that are in this one down the end, so we'll stop with them, see if anyone's here today. I'm not sure if they are. Oh, no, we're going into J Concepts. This is the home of the J Concepts team. So sponsors of the event, providing support to their team and drivers, and a little private space, a little air-conditioned space, a refrigerator to keep some lunch. We won't interrupt Jason. We'll catch up with him a little later on. I've got a feeling these boys are not in here today, but we'll have a little look. Can't see anyone in there. No, they're all locked up. I said to you earlier there was 2 grandstands, so this is the driver pit crew grandstand, so members of the public can't access this grandstand area. But once again, fantastic view of the track. And as I said, in finals day yesterday, this grandstand was heaving with drivers. Interestingly, not only during the A finals, but during the lower finals as well. Teammates would come out cheering on their kind of crew, their teammates, right through all of the lower finals. The noise coming out of this grandstand was raucous. It was fantastic. It gave us a sense of the atmosphere that was ahead of us. This is the inside track facility area. You've become very familiar with the racetrack. You've seen that across the course of the event. The team working hard to prepare the track for four-wheel drive. Those jump faces being rebuilt this morning and now being rolled to be ready to run in the opposite direction. Landers, takeoffs and lander transition areas and so on, all being reshaped. So we're down the other end of the pits now. We do have a camera in here. This is Team X-Ray end of the pits. The guys are here working hard, prepping for four-wheel drive, qualifying competition that lies ahead of us over the weekend. And again, you can just get a sense of the buzz. So it's X-Ray this end, then Schumacher, then some of the mixed smaller teams, Yokomo, Mugen, and so on in the middle, and Team Associated generally down the far end. One of the things about World Championships racing that's really interesting is that we have this both manufacturer teams here, but also country teams. So drivers qualify to race at the World Championships through their countries. Each country is part of a block around the world. There are 4 blocks in the world. Each block gets a certain number of entries, and then that number are divided up between the countries that make up that block. For example, here in Australia, we're part of FEMCA, the Far East Model Car Association. So Australian drivers qualify and are given a place in this event by that block. Once we get here though, drivers want to sit with their manufacturer team so they can share information, share setups, and so on. For the manufacturers, it's really important to win a world championship. And so they want all of their drivers sitting together. So even though those drivers come from all around the world, they qualify through their countries, they're here with their teams and they're sitting in their team areas inside that monster pit area. A couple more things to show you before we go inside. Just over here to our right, it's a cleaning bay. So compressed air, spray cleaners and so on. So anyone that wants to come and clean the cars can do that. And the big compressors, and there's a generator down behind there as well, providing all the power thanks to Den Air Australia. What we're finding generally in terms of cleaning as we scope out the beautiful location of this racetrack, the creek that kind of bubbles through down there, wildlife, birds and lizards and snakes and all sorts of things live down in there. It's a lovely place to go and get a little piece of quiet. Most of the day the cars are coming off fairly clean. Only really in the morning when the track's damp, that cleaning station gets a heavy workout. So now we're heading into the inner sanctum, the controlled part of the facility. We've just been through the pit area. This is where it all happens. This is where you have to show your pass to get access. A fierce security guard here on the gate trying to stop me getting in. Look at him, look how fierce he is. So this is where all the tyre impound kind of work goes on. So one of the basic concept rule of 10-scale off-road racing is to try and control tyres so that everyone's on the same tyre, particularly the driven axle, so rear axle of a two-wheel drive, both front and rear axles of a four-wheel drive. And competitors enter this area with their car with no wheels mounted. Today's transition day, so people are preparing tyres to use across the course of the week. So we'll show you a little quick tour of the process just so that if you're watching at home, you know how this happens. This is the tyre impound shed. I can't tell you how many sets of tyres there might be inside this tyre impound shed. 9,000 sets of tyres, I've just been told. So each competitor, if we take a look at this one here, competitor number 140, Jensen Spencer, each competitor has one of those crates. Competitors can choose how many tyres to prepare, when to use them across the course of the event, but each competitor's tyres live in here in the tyre impound area. They come in with their car, they get their box from the impound officials, they go and mount whichever tyres they choose to run from their box, controlled compound and design of tyre, then go out onto the racetrack. After they come back, remove the tyres, put the tyres back in the box, bring the box back here and sign it back in. So the controlled tyre situation means that tyres, and here's an example of one of our racers, Billy Hayden, just bringing his tyres in. You see them just going straight up on the shelf. The team in here have access to timing and scoring. They can see what's happening in terms of the event. It's just, as I said, preparation day today, so not too much happening at the moment. There's some examples of the tyres. It's a Raw Speed Super Mini is the control tyre for this event, and we've got some racers still here preparing their four-wheel drive tyres. There was plenty of time on Monday, so some racers chose to glue up all their two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive tyres on Monday. Others left their four-wheel drive tyres for today. There's a whole range of different approaches to tyre gluing. The rules are very strict around what equipment's allowed in here. There's no scissors, there's no cutting, there's no modifying, there's no drilling holes in tyres. It really is quite controlled. You get the tyre, the insert, you bring your tyre glue and your tyre bands, rubber bands that hold the tyre in place once the tyre has been glued. And you'll see often exactly what's happening here. Racers will prepare the tyres, they'll glue one side, they'll leave those to dry, and then they'll come back and glue the other side a little later on. We're getting some grief from some of our racers who claim to be using tyre sauce, I think. We'll check in on that, make sure. So there's nothing that's been allowed to be put on the tyres. There is a controlled, provided cleaning spray. You can see that on the table right there with Tony. So racers are able to use that cleaning spray to clean the bead of the tyre and the wheel so that the tyre glue will hold. Even a whole lot of detail, right? So the organisers have provided car stands, tyre wrenches, and once we get into race day, there's a little pot of wheel nuts that sits here in case someone arrives at the impound area without their wheel nuts. Come on through, we'll have a look at scrutineering. That's the other thing that's quite important, as well as controlling the tyres. There's a very strict application of the rules, the sizes, the weights, dimensions of the car, the sizes of the wings that are allowed to be used. That all goes on. On race day it happens down here, not set up for that today, but we'll give you a little idea of some of the tools in use. So the box here, which sets the maximum dimensions of the car has to fit down inside this box and roll down under its own weight. There's a scale for checking minimum weights. There are tyres, and you'll see that each approved checked in set of tyres has a competitor number on it. The cars are checked in, the chassis have that number attached to them. Wings are measured to make sure that they comply. Each wing has the competitor's number attached to it. And anytime you want to change any of those components, the wing, the chassis, any of that, you've got to come back and see scrutineering. Actually see on the table here also the list of approved motors. So very tightly controlled again, the use of only motors and batteries that are on the authorised list that IFMAR run through the year. Manufacturers able to submit motors and batteries onto that authorised list. We'll go around up onto the driver's stand. That's a good idea. We'll take you up onto the driver's stand for a look. So at the start of each race, and you'll have the drivers appear from nowhere. This is where they wait, right here on the ramp at the back of scrutineering. So drivers come through that impound area we've just seen. They check their tyres out, fit the tyres to the cars on those tables, and wait here. Once the race prior to theirs completed, they're allowed up onto the driver's stand. Let's go and take a look. Driver's stand here at Hills RC, built on the top of a 40-foot long shipping container. So plenty of room, and then a roof and walls have been added. I mean, you can just get a sense of the environment that we're in here. It's a spectacular location. I went for a walk around the park this morning. I walked for 2 hours. I didn't get to the edge of the park. I didn't come to any tracks that I repeated. It's a beautiful location. There's walking trails, there's creeks, there's wildlife. This really is Australia and suburban Sydney bushland at its very best. We haven't seen any of those slithering creatures yet, any snakes. There have been a few spiders appearing in our commentary booth as well from time to time, but nothing that's caused anyone too much grief. Fully wheelchair access all the way up to the top of the driver's stand. This week we don't have any drivers requiring wheelchair access, but when that is necessary, the driver's stand itself is modified with a ramp and a viewing platform to provide a clear view of the track. And here we get into where the magic happens from a driver perspective. Drivers have the capacity to kind of stand wherever they like. Once we get into finals, drivers come onto the driver's stand in qualifying order. So the highest qualifier gets first choice of where they stand. Some drivers prefer to stand down here where we are at the left-hand end. Some prefer to stand a little further up at the right-hand end. It's really very much a personal preference, which corners you want to look at from which angles. We've still got the flags from last night's presentation. Brock Champlin from the USA taking the win in two-wheel drive. Aidan Horn, no, it wasn't Aidan Horn, it was Davey Batter coming in second. Marcus Garrett third, I've forgotten already. And then right down the end here, the referee. So the referee has a clear view of the track, microphone to speak to the drivers, and timing and scoring right there as well. So plenty of information for the referees who are able to manage the racing. We'll show you one other thing from up here, and that's our little view when we're filming this event for you and showing you all the action. Our cameraman Matt lives on top of the shed right next door. His camera equipment's all under that tarpaulin at the moment. There he is down there doing some preparation for today. And our commentary booth inside that shed, just setting up a little platform where Scotty and Mitch have got a slightly elevated view of the racetrack. So that gives you an idea of the kinds of facility here. That whole area that we walked through, the pit area, the shop, the food stand, the controlled area, all of that normally is a car park, bitumen car park, publicly accessible. On a club day, it's covered in cars and then some easy ups that go up for pit areas. But here at the World Championship, that whole area converted into that kind of impound, the pit area, the controlled entry area that you've seen. Drivers are parking their cars off in other car parks, remote here within the reserve, and walking back in. I hope that gives you a bit of a sense of the facilities here at Hills Offroad RC, a little tour of what the drivers have been involved in, the sense of where the noise is coming from in the grandstands, all of the rules and regulations and systems that go on around an event of this size and scale. We have to say again what an incredible job the Hills Offroad RC team have done in setting up and equipping this facility. They're still out there preparing the track at the moment. We can't wait to see how this track runs in reverse direction Saturday morning. Probably will already know by the time you see this from Saturday morning, controlled practice in the afternoon, and then qualifying kicks off Sunday, 4 rounds of qualifying Sunday, another 5th round on Monday morning, and then those A finals and all the lower finals Monday afternoon, kicking off around lunchtime. If you're in Sydney, get here to be with us anytime over the weekend, but especially Monday. It's a public holiday in Sydney, no school, no work. Come and be in the grandstands with us. Anywhere else in the world, be with us online. We'll be online around 7:30 a.m. Australian Eastern Time every morning, right through the day for the next 3 days. Hope you can join us online. Hope you can cheer along as we crown the second of our World Champions this week at the Team Coyote 2025 IFMAR World Championships for 1/10 Off-Road. It's been fabulous so far. We can't wait for the next 3 days. Hang out with us.